All right. Well, with that being said, Veronica, we'll let you start us off.
All right, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. I am just here to talk really briefly to you all about effective and successful business conversation. So specifically the importance of networking. And like Peter said, I work for EDAWN, the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada. It is a private public partnership, been around since like 1983, I believe. And we're an organization committed to adding quality jobs to the region by recruiting new companies, supporting the success of existing companies, and assisting newly forming companies to diversify the economy and to have a positive impact on the quality of life in Reno-Sparks area. So EDAWN's focus is we have 3 different teams, and my team is specifically the BREW team, the Business Retention, Expansion, and Workforce Development. So we help businesses once they're here in Reno to really just retain workforce, to provide any resources that are necessary for them to continue to succeed here in the Reno-Sparks Tahoe area. So on to the presentation. Peter, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So how jobs are secured. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 85% of jobs are filled by networking. I mean, does that kind of shock you guys a little bit at all? I think a lot of people think that if you're just submitting a resume, that's all you really have to do. But really, I mean, 85% of that is all about how you network yourself and how you're out in the community and really almost just letting people know what it is that you are able to provide for them and what they can do for you. And more people are likely to take a chance on someone they know. So if you're out in the community and you're letting someone know you're looking for a job, you're more than likely to land that rather than by just submitting an application. And networking is not only about trading information, but it also serves as an avenue to create long-term relationships with mutual benefits. So for example, with my job now, before I worked for EDAWN, I worked for a corporate Estee Lauder company's job, doing more like business development, more so. But I landed this new job by a connection that I had made probably over 20 years ago with someone that actually worked at EDAWN, and I happened to run into them at Trader Joe's of all places, and that's how I was actually able to know that EDAWN was hiring. And it just kind of went from there. But it was from this relationship that I built 20 years ago that was so successful and maintained, and then landed me my next career move. So it's really important to just keep people always in your network and keep the relationship ongoing for a long term. So go ahead, Peter. So effective and successful business conversations, where to start? So building connections, creating relationships, and maintenance is what we're going to focus on. Go ahead. So planning and preparation. What's your purpose and your plan? And who can you anticipate on being at the event? It's really important to really kind of have a plan in action and know, okay, I'm going to attend this event. Who's going to be there? Just so you kind of have a little bit of preparation before you get there, so you don't get there and are like, oh my gosh, like uncomfortable and awkward. It's nice to have a little bit of prep work done prior to attending. Go ahead, Peter. So building connections, meeting people in person. You can do this through school functions, career fairs and networking events, receptions, meetings and conferences, clubs and professional associations. I mean, there's so many more options. These are just some of like 5 examples of where you can meet people in person. And then now, of course, online connections are huge as well too. So through Zoom or team meetings, through online conferences, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and emails. Next one. So elevator pitch. Introducing yourself, saying what you do, how you do it, add interesting details about yourself, provide examples of your past achievements, and use the ending of your pitch as a conversation starter. So really, it's just kind of having a really quick 1 to 2 minute basically pitch to sell yourself of who you are, what you're interested in doing, and how this person that you're connecting with would want to stay connected with you because of these just very quick achievements and or like just fun facts about yourself, really. Peter, next one. So conversation starters, shared interest. So if you guys are at a conference, conversing with them about the event, or if you guys attended the same college, or if you have just any type of mutual interest that you have is a great way to start a conversation. And a lot of times doing your prep work and really like kind of knowing who's going to be at these events. So you can look up. The best way that I've really found in my line of work now is through LinkedIn. You really can get a really quick brief synopsis of what someone's background is. So for example, if they attended, UNR, you'll be like, okay, well, so did I. So you can talk about the years that you were there, what you studied, and you can see other places of employment that they've had. So you can maybe talk about that. So LinkedIn is really key for doing a little bit of prep work prior to attending events. So work, school projects of mutual interest, hometown, school experience, mutual acquaintances, advances in field, subject, and discipline. So another thing about LinkedIn too is if you know what field you kind of are looking into going into, the best thing to do is get onto LinkedIn and connect with people in that field. So then you have those connections, you can kind of reach out to them, let them know your interests, let them know if, you're possibly looking at a job in their, specific business. So LinkedIn is pretty great for networking. If you guys don't have one, it's a good starter when you're beginning your career. Next one. So creating relationships. Relationship building requires interest and curiosity in the other. So of course, things you want to avoid are shallow conversations. So saying hi and passing out a business card, that's really not going to get you anywhere other than, okay, cool, they have your business card, but then what? And it's not about just talking about yourself the whole time. It's really a two-way street. It's really about exchanging what you want to provide to them, but then also asking, well, what can I do for you? It's really, networking is all about helping each other. And the other thing you don't want to do is not ever follow up. So what you do want to do is have meaningful conversations and interests that exchange information. And like I said before, it's a two-way street. I want to know about you. Tell me about how I can help you or how we can help each other. And take time. It takes time and effort to build credibility and trust. So if you're just showing up to networking events or any type of anything, and you're just talking about yourself and not really getting to know other people, more than likely that relationship's not really going to amount to anything. Next one. So how to maintain relationships. So showing gratitude. So a great way is once you meet someone at an event, you want to follow up. You want to send them either a message on LinkedIn or email or even a phone call, or maybe set up a follow-up meeting, really just showing your appreciation of them taking the time to speak with you and have that conversation. And then periodically sending updates of how things are going, sharing information with them, like maybe an article that you caught on Facebook and or an RGJ, and just sharing information and providing help. If you talk to this person about maybe they were looking into hiring and you know someone that could be a potential candidate, you could be like, hey, I actually know someone, could I send you the resume? So just providing help and just maintaining a relationship in any way that you can, because you never know where this person 10, 15 years down the line could benefit you or you could benefit them. So it's just networking, just if you keep it at the core of your career, it'll get you to a lot of places that you never really thought that it would. And I think once you're in your career and you realize how important it is to maintain relationships and put yourself out there and really take the time to join. Actually, Peter, if you go to the next slide, this is kind of just a couple of organizations that, of course, I put EDAWN up there, but there's the Chamber of Commerce, there's Startup Nevada, there's the Young Professional Network, YPN, there's the Reno Connection Network, which is RCN, and then there's Breakthrough Network, which is, these are all community networking agencies that are at your fingertips. Some are free, some are not. It's just a matter of doing your research and knowing what's out there and knowing what career path you're on and which ones would benefit you the most. But there's so many more. These are just some that I thought up at the top of my brain as I was doing this for you guys, but there's so many, and just really knowing that there's so much benefit to networking, and it's just a great avenue to exchange ideas. It's going to make you noticeable. It's going to be a great avenue for newer opportunities, for reassessing your qualifications, so people know what you're qualified in, and if you come to mind, if they know of some sort of open position, it improves your creative intellect. It's an extra resource library. Support from high profile individuals. You never know who you're going to meet. Growth in status, growth in your self-confidence, and really to just develop long-lasting relationships. Like I mentioned before, you don't know where they can benefit you in the long term. So it's just building a self-brand for yourself and getting informed of potential job opportunities. That's really so important, especially in today's workforce where there are so many opportunities, and not knowing everything that's out there. And by going to these events and putting yourself out there, you'll be able to know so many more opportunities than you would if you don't network. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, I'm here and happy to answer anything I can.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm in the purple towards the front. I'll try to look over here. What extent would you say would be like too much in terms of trying to continue to build relationships with potential employers? Like, especially if maybe I find out that there's a certain job that I might be interested in, but I know that it's not currently available, but just through communicating, maybe it may become available at some point, or just maybe I feel like they'd be a benefit to have them as a resource because there's another job within the same company, or I don't know, things like that. Like, it definitely sounds like there isn't necessarily a limit to what you can do, which I think is kind of the goal, in the sense that it's like you should take every opportunity you can to just build that connection. But obviously you don't want to come across as like, you don't want to come across as like too strong, obviously. Like, I wouldn't like send them flowers or something, but like, you know, just like, would you say there's like a limit of how much would be too much per se?
I think as long as they know that you're being professional and you're being consistent, like probably not sending an email and a message every single day, maybe limiting it depending on the feedback that you get from them. Like, let's say you send a note and you get a response back, or let's say you don't get a response back. If you do get a response back, of course, reply. And you can always ask, you know, I really want to stay in touch. I want to, you know, stay in the know and follow up with you. Like, what you can always ask them, like, how much time are you willing to, you know, invest in me and take to have these conversations with me? And most professionals will tell you, oh, you can email me once a week, email me once a month, email me, you know, or let's have connection calls once every 4 weeks. So it's just really having that conversation and asking them how much is too much, or in that case, like, if they're like, I'm totally fine with you contacting me anytime, as many times as you want. It's totally up to you how persistent you want to be. But I think just having that conversation is going to be your best bet. And just asking, like, how much can I contact you? And they'll let you know, like, really reading, kind of like taking a read on their response back to you. So if someone doesn't reply back, you probably maybe don't want to keep sending an email every single day or every single week. Maybe finding a different contact in that organization would be a better route. But yeah, just kind of feeling it out and always being transparent and asking them how many times or how often they'd be comfortable with you reaching out to them, just to connect and touch base.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I was also wondering if you could share your email address with us.
Absolutely. It is my last name. So it's Chavez, CHAVEZ @EDAWN.org.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from folks by chance? Veronica, her name's Veronica.
Hi, my name's James. What is it that you do and what's your profession again? I missed that.
Hi, James. No worries. I work for EDAWN and I'm the director of workforce development. So I help, our team specifically has 3 people. There's Nancy, who's the VP, Amanda, who's the project manager, and we're part of the business retention expansion workforce team here for EDAWN. So once the companies are brought into Reno, we're the team that helps keep them here. And so I specifically help in the workforce department. So I work with schools and like UNR, and I work with TMCC, and I work with CTE, which is part of the Washoe County School District. And so I help make connections with a lot of these businesses that are coming in that maybe want more of entry-level positions, and or also work with businesses that want, you know, C-level positions. So we help with our workforce. We help provide resources if they're new in Reno, which a lot of these companies are. We help them with business licensing. We help them with, I mean, such silly stuff as like vending machines for their facilities. I mean, any resource that we can provide for them, we do. We try to help with childcare, with housing, which is obviously a huge issue right now. But it's just, I'm like the wheelhouse of providing resources and helping with workforce specifically for businesses.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone?
Any other questions for folks?
I guess I have one other question.
Of course.
So if I were to go to like a career fair, for example, it might be hard to know kind of who would be present attending a certain organization, such that like for me to then do that research in advance on LinkedIn or whatever to learn more about them. But maybe there is an easier way. Do you find that there's kind of like, not that it's like I can't, I mean, you kind of just have to use what you have, right? So like if yeah, I don't know exactly who's going to be there, then that's okay. Like doesn't mean it's like I'm not going to get anywhere in a conversation with them. But are there any resources for that in terms of just like preparing for that kind of career fair? And if maybe you don't know exactly who's going to be there or what job they might have, and therefore how you should approach that relationship, just any like tips on that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, for career fairs, you're right. It's probably a little different because there's really no way to know exactly who's going to be there. And it just being open to it and being there and being present, and just having, like we talked about, having like a really good elevator pitch of kind of who you are, what you're looking for, why you're interested in talking to whomever it is you're speaking to at the career fair. And I don't know, do you guys make any type of list of who's attending, Peter, for the career fairs?
Veronica, as soon as the student asked the question, I pulled this up. So
perfect.
This is for all you know, all of you to know. So we do provide the list of the employers who are confirmed to attend the career fair, and the way that we've simplified it is we let you know the employer's name, what industry they're in, what are the top position titles of what they're hiring for, and which fair they're coming. And then if you want to learn more about the company or go directly to their job, like careers like page or job openings page, we do provide that link as well. So this one is almost updated. We just actually had a couple more registrations come in the last couple of days. So this is definitely a great resource for you all to start doing the research. Even though you may not know the specific people, the representatives' names, you do have now a fair opportunity to find out who are the companies or organizations coming to the specific career fairs.
And that's where like doing your research really comes into play, is knowing what employers are going to be there, which is fantastic that you guys have this list. And so you won't waste your time going and talking to maybe companies that you really have no interest in. You could pinpoint, okay, I know the Carson City School District is going to be there, or Cashman Equipment. And so you can kind of map out the specific employers that you really want to speak to and are going to benefit your career path.
Great. Cool, thank you.
Question? Yes.
And then what about internships and stuff? Like, is that recommended for like, are these fairs good for that? Like,
Absolutely, especially, yeah. Does that, go ahead, Peter, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So definitely, we definitely want to promote any like part-time jobs, full-time jobs. We also ask employers, are you hiring for any internships? So one thing that we do see and hear from employers, and Veronica, you can also chime in on this if you can, is at this point of the calendar year, we do have employers that are still recruiting for summer internships, and then maybe even some employers are already thinking about the fall semester. And so, Veronica, do you hear from like employers on your end of like internship timelines, like when did they usually like start recruiting for those positions?
Yeah, Peter, you're totally right. It's being proactive because right now everything in the spring is pretty much done. So it's all pretty much almost like fall. So they are looking, summer's probably close to an end, but definitely looking for fall internships. And you have to be proactive. And if you know that you want to do an internship, definitely start looking at least 6 months in advance.
That's really good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from you all?
When are these internships? It says like February 15th and 16th, but what are the times for them?
That's a good question. So it depends on timeline as well, as Veronica mentioned. So sometimes at this point, if you're thinking about summer internship, there may be an employer who may still be looking for an intern. As she mentioned, they're planning at least 6 months in advance before they start the position. And so one thing that you can do is you can actually talk to these employers saying, well, I'm just going to pull up like some other internship. Anvil builders, for instance. So if you're potentially looking at a summer internship for engineering construction, you can ask and say, hey, my name is, Peter. I saw that you're coming for the career fair, for the STEM internship fair. I was wondering, I learned that you're promoting a summer internship. Just out of curiosity, can you tell me a little more about, that opportunity and, what's the expected like start date and, the length of that internship.
Mm-hmm. And the deadline to submit to actually be a candidate for the internship too is important. Yeah.
That's definitely the big thing, is that you want to know when's like their deadline, because they need to go through their hiring process, doing interviews, whether it be in-person interviews, virtual interviews, if they need to do reference calls, and then eventually they have to onboard the new intern so they can, get settled in, and then they can learn more about what it's like to work for their company. Any other questions from students that you're wondering about? Any other questions by chance? We have about 5 more minutes before we wrap up today's workshop.
Did you go to UNR?
Oh, were you asking me? Yes.
Yeah, did you attend UNR?
I did. I graduated from UNR. I had a little bit of an interesting career path with college. I started at Boise State University, and then I transferred and did the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program. And I went to University of Hawaii, Manoa for a year, for 2 semesters. And then I came to UNR and I graduated with my degree in international business with a minor in marketing and econ.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. My parents didn't love it, but it's okay.
May I ask, what about international business particularly interested you, as opposed to just doing business with a marketing, like doing business marketing or econ at UNR?
Yeah, I've always been someone that loves to travel. So I knew that I wanted to do something where I could, initially my plan was to do importing and exporting. That's what kind of kickstarted my path in international business and choosing that major. And they're always like, oh, you don't really know when you're a freshman what you want to major in. But I actually ended up sticking with that major the entire 4 years I was in school. And then I just happened to get a marketing minor and then also an econ minor, just based on credits. But I think for me, it was specifically because I like to travel and I knew that I wanted to do something where I was able to travel. And I ended up not being in the importing exporting industry, but I've still been able to use it as far as, business and then econ, of course. And I used marketing in my last career, so it's worked out.
I know that degree requires you to this kind of specify a specific, like, I don't want to say language exclusively, but like region.
Yeah.
You focus like Asia or whatever, then you would take like a Chinese culture class and some stuff, or French, or what, like, which one of those did you, or maybe that
I did
wasn't a-
Spanish.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was easy because I'm of Hispanic Latin background, so it made it pretty easy for me. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
And that was a good conversation right there, as Veronica was talking about, finding that mutual interest that she was referring to and asking, hey, can you ask me where you did your undergrad from? And guess what? She's a UNR alum. So boom, you can start that conversation there.
Mhm. And it's just open-ended questions like that is going to just transfer into more and more conversation. And then you find all these mutual links and all these mutual, things that you guys have in common. And that's how they're going to remember you. And then it's going to be that much easier to follow up the next time that you meet them and or see them or run into them. And they'll keep you in mind, especially if you let them know what you're interested in. Because people love people, right? So once you meet someone and you leave this impact, it's just going to help you in the long run. Like it did with me in this EDAWN position. I had no intention of working for an economic development, nonprofit. It just happened to work out that I found out this position was open through a long-term relationship that I gained years back in my past career. And I love it. So you just never know how it's going to work out. So it's good to keep an open mind and maintain those long relationships through these networking events and ventures.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story and everything. It's been really cool to learn about how you've gotten to where you're at right now.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for listening. And you have my email. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if there's anything I can help you guys with, because I definitely have a good take on the workforce out there as far as the Reno Tahoe area anyway.
Definitely.
We may have time for one more question, comment before we wrap up. All right, well, let's give Veronica a round of applause for joining us virtually today.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I have back-to-back appointments today here. So, but appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for making time for us.
Of course.
Thank you very much,
good
Veronica.
luck,
Enjoy the
guys.
rest of your day.
You guys as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Peter.